February 5th, 2026. Chapter 15.5. Reading in parts, Part 2. 15.5 Ways of Reflecting Wisely. Yo Niso Mana Sikara. 15.5d. Reflection in line with the Four Noble Truths. Ariya Satcha. 15.5e. Reflections on Goals and Principles. Page 1451 to page 1466. Buddha Dhamma, Section 4, A Worthy Life. Compiled by Somdet Prabuddha Gosacharya. English name, P.A. Payutto. 15.5d. Reflection in line with the Four Noble Truths. Reflection in line with the Four Noble Truths, or reflection used to solve problems, is formally called the method of ending dukkha, suffering. It is classified as a key form of reflection because it is possible to expand it so that it encompasses all other forms of yo niso manasikara, wise reflection. This short passage encapsulates the kind of reflection. A bhikkhu attends wisely thus. This is dukkha. He attends wisely. This is the origin of dukkha. He attends wisely. This is the cessation of dukkha. He attends wisely. This is the way leading to the cessation of dukkha. When he attends wisely in this way, the three fetters are abandoned in him: personality of view, personality of doubt, and the adherence in rules and practices. This kind of reflection has two general attributes. The first attribute is in line with cause and effect. The investigation begins with results and traces back to causes, followed by a subsequent attending to and solving things in their source. It is divided into two pairs. The first pair, dukkha, suffering, is the results. It is the problem. It is an unsatisfactory situation. The origin of suffering is samudaya. It's the cause. It is the source of the problem. It is the agent which must be eliminated or attended to in order to be released from the problem. Pair 2, nirodha, sensation, is the result. It is the end of the problem. It is the goal to be reached. The path is magga, is the cause. It is the method. It is the way of practice for dealing with causes of problems and for reaching the goal. The end of dukkha, the end of suffering. The second general attribute is relevant, to the point, straightforward, and direct. It focuses on those things that must practice and engage with in order to solve life's predicaments. It does not digress to matters of indulgence and excess. The excess of thoughts seeking to gratify tanha, craving, to satisfy with conceit and fixed opinion, which are irrelevant, which cannot be used to solve problems. As mentioned earlier, the fourth kind of reflection corresponds or is connected to the third kind. Reflection in accord with universal characteristics. To begin with, one encounters a problem and experiences dukkha, experiences suffering, stress, agitation, One is able to come to the acceptance of the situation in accord with stage 1 of the third kind of reflection above. Then one is prepared to apply panya, to apply wisdom, in order to solve the problem in accord with stage 2 of the third kind of reflection above. One gradually reflects on the details and particulars described in the fourth kind of reflection. The principle of essence of reflection in line with the noble truth is to begin in the acknowledgement, a clear understanding of the problem or of dukkha, suffering. From here, one searches the source of its problems in order to attend to it. At the same time, one clearly establishes one's goals. One knows the goals. One knows whether it is accessible or not, attainable or not, reasonable or not. One knows how to reach it. Finally, one thinks of ways to eliminate the source of the problem, leading to the realization of one's determined goal. In the context of this kind of reflection, it is necessary to be aware of the responsibilities and duties, vice versa, each of the four noble truths. To understand the gist of the matters, a summary of the four noble truths, along with the corresponding stages of practice presented below. The first stage, dukkha, suffering, stress, agitation, problems, affliction, frustration, oppression, and the deficiencies encountered by people in their daily lives. In the most comprehensive sense, this refers to the state in which conditioned phenomenon of the mind and body, namarupa, the 5 groups of skandha, the aggregates, or in the entire world is subject to the laws of natures, of causes and conditions. They are impermanent, anicca, inconsistent, anatta. They are under pressure by the dependent upon conditioning factors. They do not possess a self which can be controlled and dominated by anyone. Consequently, they conflict with desire and attachment. Leading to misery and dissatisfaction. The sole responsibility in the face of dukkha is to recognize and understand it, to clearly understand its nature and its context of its problems. This is similar to a doctor who examines and diagnoses an illness. This responsibility is referred to as thorough knowledge, parina. Parina, thorough knowledge. Our responsibility is not to brood over and worry over these problems, or to resent the dukkha, the suffering, and trying to get rid of it. For thinking in this way only increases it. It is fine to desire the end of dukkha, but dukkha cannot be dispelled by desire. It can only dispel by understanding it and eliminating its causes. Brooding, hankering, or thinking to the end of dukkha only causes further harm, further problem, further distress and agitation. Besides acknowledging dukkha, one also accepts the natural course of things, as described in stage number 1 of the third kind of reflection above. When one has gained a thorough understanding of dukkha or the problems, one's duties in the context of stage at this stage are complete. One is prepared to move to the second stage. The causes of dukkha, which is the second stage, samudaya, the origin of problems, the various conditioning factors that come together and conflict with one another, leading to diverse forms of stress, diverse forms of pressure, diverse forms of affliction, diverse forms of discomfort, and diverse forms of deficiency. One needs to discover the causes, then perform the responsibility of pahana in Pali, meaning elimination or abandonment. Gautama Buddha described the principal agents that go hand in glove in hand with human suffering. Both the actor standing in front of the stage of tanha, which means craving, and the entire cast of the complete process that is the chain of conditioning factor beginning with ignorance, avijja, outlined in the teaching of the dependent origination, patisamupata. When one experiencing dukkha or encounters a specific problem, one needs to look for the related causes and conditions in accord with the first kind of reflection above. The investigation of causes and conditions. If the problem stems from conditioning factors within oneself, one reflects on the principal agents, along with the accompanying conditions specific to that situation of craving or all other factors of dependent origination. When one has investigated, when one has analyzed, when one has discovered the root of the problem which must be eliminated or abandoned, one's reflection in the context of this second stage are complete. Stage 3, cessation, nirota. The cessation of dukkha, the release of dukkha, the end of all problems. This is the goal, in respect to which our responsibility is satchikriya, meaning to realize, to actualize, to accomplish, or to reach it. This stage requires the following reflections. What is the desired goal? What is the purpose of spiritual practice? Where am I going in this practice? Is this goal realistic? How can it be achieved? What are the principles having to do with reaching this goal? What are the subsidiary goals or the gradual sequence of lesser goals along with the path to reaching the main goal? Needs to be considered. Stage 4, magga, the path, the way leading to the cessation of dukkha, the ways of practice for bringing dukkha to an end, the methods for solving problems. This refers to the methods and details of practice required for eliminating the causes of problems, for the reaching of the desired goals. Or responsibility in the stage is bhavana. In Pali means cultivation, practice, application. In regard to the contemplation, the necessary task is to determine those measures, procedures, and tactics required for successful dealing with the source of the problems, which are in harmony with the desired goals. So those are the stages, the 4 stages of the Four Noble Truths, outlined in 1, 2, 3, and 4. 15.5E, reflection on the goals and principles. Beginning of page 1456. This method refers to reflecting on the understanding the relationship between goals and principles. This is a very important reflection when one undertakes spiritual practice or follows a specific teaching, preventing one's actions from being erratic, aimless, or gullible. The term dharma here means principle or basis. It refers to principle, truth, of virtue, and a practice, including teachings, and should be applied and followed correctly. The goals in Pali is atta. It is defined as meaning. It's defined as objective or goal, desired benefit, or desired essence. In the law of Dhamma practice, when followed by a sort of principle, it is necessary to understand the meaning of the purpose of that activity. One should ask the questions: why was the principle Dhamma established? Where does it lead to? Both in terms of the final goal and the terms of immediate targets, which are connected to other principles. A correct understanding of the principles and objectives leads to the right practice, referred to as Dhamma Patipatti, which is translated traditionally as to practice the Dharma in way appropriate to the Dharma. It is also be translated as practicing minor principles of Dharma consistent with major principles of Dharma. Satanat Dharma. Very simply, this means practicing the Dharma correctly, acting in such a way that its subsidiary factors of practice are in harmony with the nourishment or the key principles of practice leading to the desired goals. Practicing the Dharma correctly, Dhamma Patipatti, as described above, is critical, vital, very important. One can say that it is the criterion determining whether Dharma practice or a specific activity will succeed and reach its goal or not. If one practices the Dharma incorrectly, one practice will be defective. One's practice will be fruitless, or the person is really will be naive. It may even have the opposite desired effect and cause harm. Every principle has an objective and goal. Whatever one engages in, one must be able to answer the question, what am I doing this for? Remember the question, what am I doing this for? Remember? There is a great emphasis of this old reflection in the Dharma practice, both as attributes of individuals or in the 7 qualities of the very virtuous person, Sapurisa Dhamma, and the 4 kinds of analytical insight, Patisampita, as the parts of gradual sequence of practice, for example, of the 4 virtues conducted to growth in wisdom, Panavisuti Dhamma, 4 ways of practice described below. Following are some passages from the Tipitaka, the Pali Canon, on this subject. Bhikkhu. How is a bhikkhu a Dhamma knower? Dhamma nu. Here, a bhikkhu is in this Dhamma and Vinaya, knows the Dhamma. That is, the discourse, the stanzas, the expositions, the verses, the exclamations, the sayings, the birth stories, the marvels, and answers to the questions. How is a bhikkhu a meaning knower? Atanu. Here, a bhikkhu knows the meaning of various teaching. Thus, this is the meaning of this teaching. This is the meaning of that teaching. Bhikkhus. How is a person one of great knowledge? Bahu Sutta. one who understands by way of learning. Some people have learned much in respecting the discourses of stanzas and exposition, verses, exclamations, sayings, the birth stories, morals, and answers to questions. They thoroughly understand the essence and the principles of that large body of learning. There are ones who practice the Dharma correctly, Dhamma nu Dhamma pati pati. This way, a person is called one of great knowledge, one who understands by learning. Bhikkhu, the Dharma that I have taught is extensive. That is, the discourse, the stanzas, exposition, verses, exclamations, sayings, birth stories, and marvels, answers to questions. If a bhikkhu thoroughly understands the meaning and principle of each one verse consistently of 4 lines, and is one who practices the Dhamma correctly, he is worthy to be called one of the great knowledge, a companion of the Dharma, Satana. Bhikkhu, the 5 things make for dissolution. The disappearance of the true Dharma. The bhikkhus who do not listen to the Dharma respectfully, they do not study the Dharma respectfully, they do not recollect the Dharma respectfully, they do not reflect respectfully on the meaning, atupaparaka, of the Dharma they have memorized. When they understand the meaning and principle, they do not practice the Dharma in a way appropriate with the Dharma. Bhikkhus, these 5 things make for the stability of the non-dissolution, for the non-disappearance of the true Dharma. The monks and bhikkhus that listen to the Dharma respectfully, that study the Dharma respectfully, they recollect the Dharma respectfully, they reflect respectfully on the meaning of the Dharma they have memorized. When they understand the meaning of the principle, they practice the Dharma in a way appropriate to the Dharma. The sequence of principles described in the various quotations are to be outlined as follows. To listen and to study the Dharma. To memorize the Dharma, to reflect on its meaning, to practice the Dharma in a way appropriate to the Dharma. The same sequence is to be found in many other sutras and can be considered an important principle to Buddhist training and practice. Let us compare the teaching with the principle of wisdom development, or the 4 factors making to stream entry, Sotapanna. Bhikkhus, these 4 things are conducive to the growth of wisdom. What is? Association with superior person, Dakinaya Bukala. Hearing the true Dharma, wise reflection, Yoniso Manasikara. Practice in accord with the Dharma. These 2 teachings are essentially the same. However, that of the former factor of Yoniso Manasikara, analytical reflection, is replaced by the term reflecting on the meaning, Atupaparika. The term Atupaparika seems here to be narrowing the definitions of Yoniso Manasikara in the circumstances by focusing primarily on the 5th kind of reflection being discussed in this section. That is, one who understands the relationship between principles and objectives. One reaches the next step of proper application of the teaching, Dhamma nu Dhamma pati pati. Many sutra processes clarify the relationship between the Dhamma principles and the objective, essence, benefit, and purpose. Bhikkhus, the Dharma and not the Dharma are to be understood. Likewise, essence and non-essence. When Dharma and not Dharma, essence and non-essence are understood, One should practice accord to the Dharma in essence. What is not Dharma? What is Dharma? What is non-essence? What is essence? Wrong view, wrong thought, wrong speech, wrong action, wrong livelihood, wrong effort, wrong mindfulness, wrong concentration, wrong knowledge, wrong liberation. It's not Dharma. Right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, right knowledge, right liberation is Dharma. Various evil, unwholesome states arising with wrong view, wrong thought, wrong speech, wrong action, wrong livelihood, wrong effort, wrong mindfulness, wrong concentration, wrong knowledge, wrong liberation as conditions are the non-essence. Various wholesome states that come to completion by right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, right knowledge, right liberations are the essence. The benefit of the discipline, the vinaya, a restraint of the samara, the benefit of the restraint is non-remorse. The benefit of non-remorse is joy. The benefit of joy is delight. The benefit of delight is serenity. The benefit of serenity is happiness. The benefit of happiness is concentration. The benefit of concentration is knowledge and vision according to reality. The benefit of knowledge and vision according to reality is disenchantment. The benefit of disenchantment is dispassion. The benefit of dispassion is deliverance. The benefit of deliverance is knowledge. The visions of deliverance, the benefit of knowledge and visions of deliverance is final, absolute, nibbana, anupata pare nibbana. Wholesome various conduct has non-remorse as the benefit and reward, atni samsa. Non-remorse has joy as its benefit as reward. Joy has delight as a benefit for reward. Delight has serenity as its benefit and reward. Serenity has happiness as its benefit for reward. Happiness has concentration as benefit and reward. Concentration has knowledge and vision according to the reality at its benefit and reward. Knowledge and visions according to the reality has disenchantment at its benefit and reward. Disenchantment and dispassion as its benefit and reward. Dispassion has deliverance as its benefit and reward. Deliverance has knowledge and visions as deliverance has the benefit and reward. Thus, bhikkhus, things flow into other things. Things bring other things to fulfillment for the sake of going from what is not the goal to what is the goal. The purpose of seeing rightly is disenchantment. The purpose of disenchantment is dispassion. The purpose of dispassion is deliverance. The purpose of deliverance is nibbana, nibbita. Purity of sila, virtue, is for the sake of atta, purity of mind. That's the objective, that's the goal. Purity of mind is for the sake of purity of view, titi. Purity of view is for the sake of purity of overcoming doubt. Purity of overcoming doubt is for the sake of purity of knowledge and vision regarding the path and what is not the path. Purity of knowledge and vision regarding the path and not the path is for the sake of purity of the knowledge and visions of way of practice. Purity of knowledge and visions of way of practice is for the sake of purity of knowledge and vision. Purity of knowledge and vision for the sake of final, absolute, nibbana, nibbita, nirvana. The following sutra of classes clarify the meaning of the terms atta, the goal, the destination, the results, and dhamma nu dhamma pati 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 pati, the doing of good by one who does not recognize what is good is not conducive to happiness. A fool squanders the good like a monkey watching over an orchard. One should investigate the source of things in order to clearly understand their essence. A person who practices the Dharma correctly is difficult to find in the world. Now, this is a conversation between a wandering ascetic and Venerable Sariputra. Friend Sariputra, what is difficult to do in this Dharma and discipline? Venerable Sariputra replies, going forth, friend, is difficult to do in this Dharma and discipline. What, friend, is difficult to do when one has gone forth to find delight, friend? It's difficult to be one who has gone forth. What, friend, is difficult to do by one who has found delight? To practice in accord with the Dharma, friend, is difficult to do by one who has found delight. But, friend, if a bhikkhu practices in accord with the Dharma, would it take him long to become an arihat? Not long, friend, replies Sariputra. This reflection and understandings of goals and principles is worthy of constant attention. Indeed, the middle list of the Majjhima, of the middle way, Majjhima Pata, is determined by understanding the awareness of the true goal of practice. Moreover, each subdivision of factor of the middle way has specific objectives, as well as common goal, which need to be borne in mind and understood in order to practice them correctly. For these factors to be well integrated with one another and for them to lead gradually to the intended goal, in other words, a knowledge and understanding of the objectives, a knowledge and understanding of the benefits, a knowledge and understanding of the limitation of specific spiritual factors determines the correct and evenness of one's practice, resulting in Dhamma Patipatti, to practice the Dharma in a way appropriate to the Dharma. From a perspective of the ultimate goal, Paramattha, not from the perspective of common mundane welfare, Ditta Dhamma Kata, heavenly welfare, Sampara Ikata, others' welfare, Parata, or social welfare, virtuous conduct, Sila, concentration, Samadhi, and wisdom, Panya, share the final goal of Nirvana, Nibbida. But from a more limited perspective, each of these three factors have its own parameters and spheres of activities, which must be linked with the functions of others, enabling the attainment of the final goal. By themselves, these factors cannot lead to the ultimate success. At the same time, each one of these factors is essential and indispensable. Thus, the maxim, virtuous conduct leads to concentration. Concentration leads to wisdom. Wisdom leads to liberation. If one practices moral conduct without a clear direction, it may become an adherence to rules and religious practices, Sila Bhatta Paramasa, feeding into extreme of self-mortification, Atta Kiramatanu Yoga. Extreme self-mortification, asceticism. But here in Pali, it's called Atta Kila Matanu Yoga. If one develops concentration without reflecting on its true purpose, one may be caught up in psychic powers, strengthening wrong views of various forms of base arts. I told you, look at that. Dirachana Vija. Read that again. If one develops concentration without reflecting on the true purpose, one may get caught up with psychic powers, strengthening wrong views, or various forms of base arts, quote unquote, black magic. If one develops wisdom that is not conducive to liberation, one deviates from the middle way. One does not reach the goal of Buddhism. One may get lost along the path or become stuck in some form of wrong view. For this reason, it is possible for the Dharma practitioners to practice incorrectly and go astray at every stage of practice. For example, in relation to the beginning stage of practice of virtuous conduct, there exists a general tenet that a strict, pure observance of moral precepts and rules is the essential quality of the Dharma practitioner. He or she must constantly give great importance to moral conduct. Nevertheless, despite a strict observance to morality, if one lacks awareness of the relationship between principles and goals, if one forgets the true purpose and objective of moral conduct, as well as the parameters, benefits, and place in relation to other factors, one may be remiss in one's practice at any time. A person may mistakenly consider morality as inherently complete and something existing in isolation, not a part of a larger spiritual process. Alternatively, a lack of awareness about the true purpose and objective of moral conduct may lead to people to attach to various conventions, to simply follow a traditional ways of behaving without understanding the reasons of such behavior. They do not see the sila as a tool for training for oneself. Some people unconsciously entertain the belief that moral strictness of Puritanism is good and complete in itself. Goodness and spiritual accomplishment is achieved simply by adhering to the code of ethics. Morality thus becomes an end in itself rather than the stage of practice leading to the higher goal. Other people indulge in belief that are stricter or more austere one practices, the better. For such people, an awareness of the true purpose of moral conduct is completely absent. They create increasingly severe and austere forms of practice. Those who witness such practice in others who lack yoniso manasikara, wise reflection, will equally be led astray. Their faith will increase in proportion to the extreme austerities they see in others. This kind of belief in one causes for particular forms of ascetic practices, which Gautama Buddha referred to as brutish, severe, of the naked ascetics. The naked ascetics were the Jans. The Jans were the naked ascetics. Each practices are examples of adherence to rules and practices, sila, bhatta, paramasa, and fall under the extreme self-mortification, atta, kila, mata, nuyoga, or extreme asceticism. Examples of such practices include eating only fermented vegetables, eating grass, eating only fallen fruit, wearing discarded cloth, wearing grass garments, sweet grass garments, pulling out the head hair and beard, lying on a bed of thorns, etc., etc. Indeed, there exist many more extreme forms of practice than those just mentioned. People who understand the true objective of moral conduct will also give precedence to moral strictness and ethical codes, but they will not reflect on the relationship of morality of other people and spiritual practice. They are able to discriminate by reflecting on the following way. These are the universal principles of morality, while these are supplementary observances and practices. This person should strictly observe the precept for this reason. This precept should be compulsory for everyone equally, for the reason for this desired result. This practice should be voluntary because of these differences between individual people. This person practices strictly and has attained success, while the other person practices strictly and has not succeeded. Why is this so? This person does not practice very strictly. It's made more progress than the other person who practiced strictly. What are the reasons for this? The kind of reflection on the practice of goals may be less important. When one has virtuous friends, teachers nearby, in such a circumstance, one relies in a large part of faith in the teacher's wisdom and trust that one practice will gradually progress. If the teacher is truly wise and skilled, he or she will be able to explain the principles and objectives at each stage of practice. Before we end 15.5e, let me read that paragraph again. In such circumstances, one relies in large part of faith in the teacher's wisdom and trusts that one's practice will gradually progress. If the teacher is truly wise and skilled, he or she will be able to explain the principles and objective of each stage of practice. Now that's the end of 15.5e in the middle of page 1466, Buddha Dhamma.